Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 908 East 5th Street here in Newburgh. We're located at the left, kind of the front left corner area of the home here. We have a 4-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. We're going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running. And we zeroed out there at the bottom of the cleanout. The line transitions immediately upon access over to 4-inch cast iron pipe. And then we've either, this is either ABS, I think this might be Orangeburg. I've got big lumps in the flow line. Now you see that bump I'm going over right there? This appears to be Orangeburg, and yeah, this joint is smashed. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Orangeburg is tar paper sewer line. It is, and I don't mean this to be an alarmist. This is the worst sewer pipe devised by man. It is absolutely horrible. When I reel back here, you'll see how beat up this stuff is. It gets crushed almost flat over time. There's probably holes in it. This stuff just falls apart over time, but it's layers of cardboard impregnated with tar paper. And so even in circumstances where it is still functioning to a certain extent, I always recommend this stuff be pulled out of the ground. It has a 100% rate of failure. And it's possible right now we may have switched over to ABS plastic. This is starting to look a little bit smoother than the Orangeburg, but they look very similar until we get the line drained out. They have a similar color on the inside. But the ABS will not be all lumpy and bumpy. Now we're into concrete. This is an extraordinarily long sewer line, considering how close we are to the street. This must be traveling down the road to get to a main somewhere, would be my guess. And we finally reached the main here at 120 feet out. But we're going to try and go do some locates here to verify where the line terminates at. And we'll have a better look at everything when we come back. Alright, located the camera head successfully. So the line travels all the way down to the other intersection. I believe that it's the intersection of Center... Sorry, let me get the name again here. East 5th and South Center Street. So if you're looking at the front of the house from the street, the line travels to the left all the way down to the intersection. And I'm not sure... Man, that is one honking daddy long leg up there. I'm not sure where I'm going to locate as this line comes along here to see if it travels down into the sidewalk. I would try and get a hold of the city and find out where responsibility starts and stops. Here, normally the lines are going straight out to the street in front, not traveling down the sidewalk area. I would just try and figure out how much of the line the homeowner is responsible for in total. But the stuff we're in right now looks like transite concrete, which generally holds up for quite a long time. It's got fern coat joints every 10 feet. I probably spoke too soon. It looks like a root's coming through right here. Not that it's affecting functionality at this point. Yeah, I'll try and go mark this here located. It's about a foot in front of the camera. But there does appear to be a root. You'll have to go back and watch the video as it's recorded. It's on the right side of the screen at the bottom part of the pipe. My camera now is having a hard time popping over this joint here. We lost all of our momentum. And it looked like it may have been penetrating right through the sidewall because I don't see it traveling back here to this pipe joint. But it looked very, very much like a root. I'll go at least locate and mark this area here. I'll put the marking about a foot in front of where we're at currently. And then before doing anything, I would check with the city to find out. It may very well be in city responsibility. Alright, I fired the water back up here. We're going to see if we can't hop back over this little offset. The offset is really not concerning at all. Just at 100 feet out. It stops our momentum like crazy. Where I'm locating this is right down on the corner of the street. We're sitting where that spot is actually at maybe a foot or less from the street curb. There's a big bush sticking out of that. There's a little bark dust planter spot right on the curb where the crosswalk area is. So I drew a big white line leading from the street to the curb with an arrow pointing to it. The arrow is kind of pointing back towards this home, but it's directing you towards that area where there's a bush. So I may not be able to get right on top of that bush. It's kind of tricky to locate down through, but it's in that area there. So before messing around with any repairs or anything like that, check with the city because that very well could be in their responsibility. I would imagine that's definitely in the right of way. I just don't know how they divvy up responsibility in a situation like this. Alright, we're going to shut the water back off here and let the line drain out. See if we can't see that thing again. Alright, we pushed a little ways past that spot there. I'm going to kind of go back through here slowly. The line is just about done draining. Now it doesn't appear that it's there anymore. So it could have just simply been some kind of debris, because although that appears to be roots penetrating the joint there, I think what happened is the camera may have broke it loose. If you look at the pipe joint, you've got stuff coming out of the joint. It's not affecting functionality, but if you give it time to grow, it very well could. So I've located this as best I can. I've marked, again, the street curb. If you stand in the intersection looking back at the curb area, you'll see a big white line with an arrow pointing into that bush. I would find out, and it looks like it's pretty much dead centered right in the bush where that spot is at. I would find out from the city whether or not that's in city or homeowner responsibility. I do recommend a spot repair to correct it. I think the camera, as it went through there, just broke one of the roots loose and let it flow down the sewer line. And we do have some standing water out here. The distance this is from the home is not a concerning thing. I don't get too worried about bellies, especially in plastic pipe, unless they're really close to the home. If you're getting something blocking up at almost 100 feet away, you got to fill up 100 feet of pipe. In doing so, that head pressure in almost every case will push the blockage right on through, as long as your blockage is not comprised of a whole roll of paper towels or something of that nature, stuff that shouldn't be going down the line. But that belly there runs from about 90 feet to 100 feet right to that transition to the transite concrete. At its worst point, you have somewhere around a half, maybe as much as as 3/4, but most of it's around a ½ inch or less, which in the world of bellies is very minor, especially the distance that is from the house. All that stuff there just appears to be cobwebs as best I can tell. No obvious roots coming through there. And the transite concrete itself appears to be in good shape. It's mostly just that transition joint that's got the root coming through it. The concrete looks like it's still in fair condition and doing its job. Just more cobwebs there at the top of the pipe. And got some more very minor standing water. It's about a 1/16 of an inch. That stuff is nowhere near a galaxy of needing repair work. Just don't flush grease in a pair of shoes down the toilet and you'll be fine. Alright, and this is where we enter back into the Orangeburg pipe here. You can see the stark difference. You have nice smooth plastic. It's still round, and as soon as you come into this stuff, it's immediately deformed, delaminated. That's a whole layer of pipe that's peeling off there. Now, this line is very likely letting sewage escape. Like right here, there's a big hole forming in the bottom of the pipe. It may not have perforated yet, but it's getting dang close to it. So this is the stuff I'm the most concerned about here. We're going to map all the Orangeburg out to about 21 feet here where the transition is. Alright, I turned some water back on here just to keep the camera lens clean. I wanted to make sure I saw where the transition is. It looks like it's right here at 21 feet. Once you get past that point, it appears to be smooth plastic ABS there, or Schedule 40, one of those two. And this spot here transitions right smack dab at the sidewalk edge, so it's very possible that that stuff was all updated because that was in city responsibility and everything on property wasn't, because that was homeowners' problem. Anyway, we're about 1 foot 8 inches deep there, very shallow, just under grass and dirt. You can see the big pieces of Orangeburg flaking off there. Now we're using white paint. It'll be marked at each end, or the end will be marked with an X. I'll mark the start with a T marking. There'll be white dots in between showing the span of that pipe. Okay, right here we are at 2 feet 1 inch, 2 foot 2 inches, somewhere in that ballpark. The ground kind of rises up a little bit as you get closer to the house. You have some root penetration there. And I've got a trailer parked right over a part of this. I'm not sure I'll be able to locate all of it, but there'll be enough mapped out here. It will not be hard to figure out. And from this point here at about 10 feet, the line's running up underneath the trailer. So we'll pull back here and try and mark the transition from ABS to Orangeburg. Or, I'm sorry, cast iron. Alright, and this spot here is just up underneath the trailer. I was able to get the locator underneath the trailer. I can't get a very accurate depth, but I've marked that spot there. At its deepest point, it's going to be somewhere around 2 foot 2 inches deep. I recommend all the Orangeburg pipe be replaced and a rescope afterwards to check the repair work. Again, I don't recommend repairing the belly. It's far too minor, in my opinion, to need repairs. And I've tried, I turned the water off here just so you can get a better view of this. Just don't know if the camera's going to jimmy over the top, but it's cast iron going back towards the house, which is what I was wanting to see, making sure that wasn't Orangeburg. But I would recommend basically everything from this. This appears to just be plastic here, going back to the cast iron, and then leading. It looks like they just spliced in a cast iron or a ABS-T. I'm trying to make sure they didn't have any Orangeburg going back towards the house. I would recommend correcting this a little bit. The grade's off by a little. It's offset. It's not doing much, but while you're in here, I would recommend just getting that dialed in. But the big thing here is to correct the Orangeburg and get a rescope afterwards to check the work. Then aside from that, the rest of the line is in good condition right up until you get to that transition to transite. You do have a small root intrusion there, which I recommend correcting. But again, it may be in city responsibility, so check on that before doing any work there. Aside from the Orangeburg section and that one joint, the rest of the sewer line appears to be in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly.